booliska magaalada Columbus ayaa qabtay shir jaraa'id ay uga hadlayeen dilka Sheikh Maxamed Xasan Aadan. Booliska ayaa sheegay inay u soo xireen dilka sheekha eedeysanay John Wooden. xogta lagu shaaciyay shirka jaraa'id ayaa ahayn wax kale iibsi ah u dhaxmaray Sheikh Maxamed Xasan Aadan iyo John Wooden. sidoo kale booliska ayaa sheegay in John Wooden uusan falkan kaligiis ku kicin balse eedeysanayaal kale inay jiraan oo ku lug leh dilka sheekha. booliska ayaa sidoo kale beeniyay inay aqoon dheer ka dhaxaysay sheekha iyo eedeysanaha balse mar qura u dhaxmaray kala iibsi. duqa magaalada Columbus Andrew Ginther oo goobta ka hadlayay ayaa sheegay in murugada la qaybsanayaan qoyska sheekha iyo dhammaan jaaliyadda Soomaaliyeed. wuxuu sidoo kale carabka ku dhuftay in Sheikh Maxamed uu ka mid ahaa culimada sida weyn uga muuqday magaalada Columbus. John Wooden Jr. ayaa hore u soo galay xabsi isagoo muddo 10 sano ah xirnaa. eedeysanaha ayaa sidoo kale booliska uga shakisan yihiin inuu dambiyo kale ka geystay magaalada Columbus oo ay weli baarayaan. sidoo kale booliska ayaa sheegay in John Wooden ay tuhmeen kadib markii uu qof la wadaagay macluumaad laamaha amniga. booliska ayaa sidoo kale ka codsaday bulshada inay la wadaagaan wixii macluumaad ah oo hayaan taa oo u fududeyn karta in la soo qabto raggii kale ee dilkan geystay.
I want to thank you all for joining us here today to hear some important news and updates from our great leaders in the law enforcement community, a great partnership with our partners at the ATF, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Office of Inspector General. But first, I want to recognize the family of an incredible faith leader, great community leader. Chief Brian and I met with the family and the larger community a few weeks ago at the Jerry Hammond Center and made a commitment to you all that we would honor his life, his contributions, his service to this community, to his family, to his congregation, by making every effort to bring whoever did this to justice. And this is an important step forward towards that commitment. Thank you all for being here. To Director Clark, Chief Bryant, our officers, the detectives at the Columbus Division of Police will hear from Detective Earl Westfall here in a minute, who did some incredible work along with Assistant Chief Bodker that I'll introduce to give you more updates. But this is an important moment for justice and accountability in our community. Iman was a pillar of strength, comfort, and clarity. He led by example, uplifting and encouraging countless others through his words, his actions, his leadership, his service. He represented hope and inspiration, no matter the circumstances. And he deserved better than to lose his life to a brutal and senseless act of violence. With a suspect now in custody, I pray that this family and his loved ones can begin to feel a sense of peace and closure. Their grief, but our grief, does not end here. But at the very least, we are at an inflection point. We are beginning to change the trajectory of this story. And we are in possession of new knowledge and information that brings us ever closer toward healing and hope. This family didn't just lose an incredible father and husband and family man. Congregation didn't just lose an incredible, compassionate faith leader, but this community lost an incredible force for good, not just to the Somali community, not just to the Muslim community, but to our entire city. I want to thank our officers at the Columbus Division of Police for relentlessly pursuing this case and for seeking to bring resolution to a community in shock and in mourning. I also want to thank our partners, as I mentioned before, with the ATF, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Office of Inspector General, for devoting their expertise and resources to the investigation. Collaboration and communication. This is how we move forward. Gun violence remains a devastating and debilitating reality that we must confront together. It upends individuals and communities alike, often fueling future acts of violence. The vicious cycle we are committed to interrupting and ending in the city of Columbus. We must hold the perpetrators of these crimes accountable for their hateful and cowardly actions, and we are. That is why we're working around the clock, taking action on numerous fronts with numerous partners to reduce the violence impacting our neighborhoods throughout our community. We're laying the foundation for a safer, more peaceful Columbus. Now I'd like to introduce Assistant Chief Bodker to share more about the case. Assistant Chief.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Greg Bodker, Assistant Chief with the Columbus Division of Police. On December 24th, 2021, Mohammed Hassan Adam, a valued member of the Somali community and a Muslim imam, was found murdered in the 1400 block of Windsor Avenue. What followed that discovery was a collaborative investigation of events leading up to Mr. Adams' murder and those responsible for that murder. This investigation has been led by the Columbus Division of Police Homicide Bureau, but could not have been conducted without our valued partners, the Somali community, the family, the FBI Safe Streets Task Force, the ATF CJIC Task Force, and especially our crime lab, the firearms section. Today I'm happy to reintroduce to many of you Detective Earl Westfall, who is the lead investigator in this case, who will provide a summary of how this case was solved. Thank you.
Good morning. Detective Earl Westfall, Columbus Division of Police. As the chief spoke, we found Mr. Adam was discovered in the 1400 block of Windsor Avenue on December 24th. Previous to that, he had been reporting missing by family, which our missing persons unit conducted an investigation into initially until his body was discovered. Then it became a homicide unit investigation. Subsequent to that investigation, I developed a suspect who I actually filed charges on yesterday, John W. Wooden. I believe it was had something to do with a business transaction between Mr. Wooden and Mr. Adam. Out of our investigation, as part of that, when we developed him as a suspect, we conducted a search warrant at his residence, recovered a firearm, which subsequently was ballistically matched to the casings from that firearm. The test casings were subsequently matched to the homicide scene, some casings left at the scene. At this time, I'm going to ask if any of the family has anything they would like to say.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Detective Westfall, the law enforcement, the mayor, and the community. I am really happy, and my family are really happy, even though this is the most difficult time that we ever faced. But with your support, we couldn't do anything. There are a lot of cases that are not being solved yet, and I'm hoping that all cases are being solved. However, yesterday was one of the biggest day that we heard that the suspect is under custody, and I hope that we receive justice. And we cannot sit down and sit back until that person is being finalized and the case is being closed. Thank you.
Now I'll stand for any questions that anyone has. Go ahead. At this time, I will say we have received some tips through Crime Stoppers. We would like for those to continue to come in. I don't believe this investigation is completely done by any means. As far as the suspect, like I said, there was a business transaction between the two individuals. I don't want to get too much into that, but that's how his name came about and where we move forward from there. Go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead. He does, yes. He did some time, a considerable amount of time for robbery in the past and is currently on federal probation.
Do you believe the suspect acted alone? Are there others you're looking at?
I do not believe so, no. I believe there's other people involved and we continue to look for them as well. I don't have all the details on what he did. I just know that that's what he was on probation for, violent crimes in his past. Go ahead.
You said you believe there might be more people involved in this. What's your message to the community right now?
My message right now is the community's been very helpful, as they always are in these cases. We've had tips come in. We like those to continue to come in. Like I said, I'm 100% certain that probably at least one other person, maybe more, are involved in this. And it's my duty and obligation to the family and the community and Columbus as a whole to get everyone involved with this crime put where they belong, in jail.
Okay. You spoke about the suspect and the imam knew each other. Is there any indication that Mr. Wynn was a member of the imam's congregation or he was somehow targeted because of his faith?
Not that I'm aware of. And no, there's no indication that he was targeted based on his faith. Go ahead.
My name is Ivan. I'm on the Somali TV. There's a word on the street that say that the suspect and one of the imam's wife used to be dated, or his ex-wife. Is there anything that you guys know about that?
No, I don't have any indication that tells me that that's the case.
How did you locate the suspect? You went to his house and served a search warrant, and then how was he eventually located to the
I'm sorry, how was he eventually located?
How was he located to make the arrest?
He actually showed up at the scene when we were conducting the search warrant on his home. He was taken into custody then.
When you guys was there, what you guys did because of the imam or any other application?
When you say there, when we were where exactly? We were there because of the imam case, yes.
How shocked were you that the weapon allegedly used in the crime was still the home of the suspect that's used?
It actually happens more often than you would think. I was somewhat surprised, but based on some of the other things that I'm looking into is in regards to this case, I was not completely surprised that the firearm was in the home.
And how much of assistance did in terms of tracing the rounds that you found connected to the crime? Normally that takes quite a bit of time. It seems like this was done quickly.
We were lucky enough that some things were moved in a lot faster direction than they normally would be.
One last question for me. Was the suspect that was driving the van the other day when you guys gave us 15-second video? Was the suspect driving the yellow van? Remember you driving the turbo?
Right, we posted a video of the guy driving the van. Are you asking, do I know if that's him definitely or not?
Yeah, I'm asking if that was the suspect.
I'm unable to determine that based on that video because you can't really make out facial features and everything else. I believe there's a high probability it was him, but I can't say one way or the other whether it was him.
Was the weapon used registered under the suspect's name?
I'm sorry?
Was the weapon used registered under the suspect's name?
No.
Have you been able to interview the suspect and has he been cooperative with?
I attempted an interview with him. It was very short. He was not cooperative and then invoked his right to counsel.
Do you believe he's involved in any other crimes related violent crimes?
Yes, I do.
Since he's been released?
He has not been released.
No, since he was released back in March.
Correct, yes. Since he was released, yes. Yes, I believe he's suspect in a couple of other crimes as well that we're still investigating.
And you mentioned the business transaction. Was this a one-time only business transaction, or was there a history of business transactions between the two of them?
As far as I know at this point, it was a one-time transaction.
Time for one more.
he was released, was he under any sort of surveillance or tracking?
When he was released, I'm sorry.
He was released in March. Was he under any sort of federal tracking?
Was he under any surveillance? Is that what you asked? No, not that I'm aware of when he got out in March. Thank you, everybody.
waxaa la dilay 2 bilood ka hor November 22-keedii runtii dadkuna waxay u maleynayeen keyskan inuu noqon doono mid aan la xallin doonin oo aan waxba uusan suurtagal ahayn hase yeeshee waxaan la shaqaynay meeyarka magaalada ama duqa magaalada waxaan la shaqaynay city-ga waxaan la shaqaynay booliiska waxaanan suurta gashay in la qabtay ninkii Maxamed dilay lana xiray waxaan maanta joognaa waa city hall-ka magaalada Columbus oo meeyarka iyo safety-ga iyo booliiska iyo detective-ka ay sheegayeen ninkii la xiray iyo waqtigii la xiray iyo sababta loo xiray waxayna tan noqonaysaa ay ka qaadaysaa culays badan su'aalo badan oo dadku ay qabeen oo ahaa in Maxamed ciddii dishay aan la aqoonin iyo midda labaad oo laga baqayay in la waayo keyskan cid ka dambaysa laakiin maanta waxay ahayd runtii guul bay waxay tahay bulshada Soomaaliyeed ee meel jooganba sababta waxa weeyaan maanta waxaan haynaa xaqiiqdii oo ah waxa la yiraahdaa dambi baa dadku galaa 100 qof baa waxay leedahay hebel baa dilay hebel disho been baa la soo wareegayay laakiin maanta waxa la hayaa ninka runta ah oo dilay waxayna dhahan waxaan kala ku daba jirnaa ninka kale oo asagana ama la socday ama dadka kale wax ka dilay ayaan ku daba jirnaa waxayna dhahan 100% waan hubnaa ninka dilay ninkan inuu yahay waxay sheegeen 2 nin oo istaqaana inay ahaayeen oo hadda ka hor ay wax dhex mareen sidaa daraadeed waan culays badan iyo pressure badan baa maanta naga fuqay oo maxaa la yiraahdaa community-ga mar walba magaalada u baxna waxaan la weydiin jiray Maxamed yaa dilay iyo war ma ka haysaan marka maanta waxaan ummadda Soomaaliyeed u sheegaynaa meel joogtaba war baanu haynaa waxa weeye Maxamed ninkii dilay waa la qabtay sheekhi waana xiran yahay maxaa la yiraahdaa bulshaduna waa ku faraxsan tahay waana in la qaybsanaynaa wax inta dheeraad ah inta Allah idmo si public ah
waxaan rabaa kale inaan ku weydiiyo inaan noo sii faahfaahiso ayagana waa su'aasha waa la weydiiyey in ninka dilay ex-wife-kiisa iyo saadaasha la maleynayay inaysan waxna ka jirin
dadka waxaan u sheegaynaa mar walba been baa la sheegay 100 been baa la sheegay hebel baa dilay hebel dishay ninkan wax ka dhaxeeyay ma jiraan haba yaraatee oo ama ku saabsanata reer ama business ama wax kale kama waxa weyn hal mar baa ganacsi baa dhex maray baa la yiri wuxuu yahay anagu ma naqaano laakiin wax kale oo ka dhaxeeya ma jiraan beenta Soomaaliyeed isla dhex marayso oo ay leedahay maxaa la yiraahdaa wiil hebel baa dilay wiil naagu dhashay baa dishay naag baa la isku haystaayo waxaas dhan waa propaganda weeye waa in la xiraa albaabkaas Soomaalidu waligeed waxay ku nooshahay waxa la yiri iyo wuxuu yiri taasuna waa munaafiqnimo iyo been weeye daniguna waa dambi waxaan u sheegaynaa Maxamed waxa dilay nin African American ninkiina wallahi ya Mr. Wuri la dhaho waan xiran yahay dambiyo kale lagu haystaa sidaa daraadeed warku waa cadi
bismillaahir rahmaanir rahiim waa maasantii walaalahay SBTV iyo Somali TV waxaan joognaa xarunta booliiska ee Columbus Ohio heerkuarkooda waxaan maanta u nimid war farxad lahaa oo xalayna soo gaaray ahaa in la helay oo la qabtay haddana xabsiga uu ku jiro gacan ku dhiglihii dilay walaalkeena Sheikh Maxamed Xasan Ilaahay subxaanahu wa ta'aala naxariista ka waraabiyo runtii aad iyo aad baa maanta farxadeenu u sareysaa sidaan dareemayna lama soo koobi karo maadaama aan muddo ka warsugaynay booliiska iyo siriga iyo dawladda inay helaan ama warka keenaan qofkii dilay sheekheeni Sheikh Maxamed Xasan marka runtii aad baan uga farxisay maanta inaan aan at least ugu yaraan aan helnay bal meesha qofka dilay iyo in jiho midqana u baxday marka taasna aad baan Ilaahay subxaanahu wa ta'aala u mahadcelinaynaa sidoo kalena Ilaahay subxaanahu wa ta'aala wuxuu aqbalay sheekheena ducada muslimiinta iyo walaalaha iyo dadka dhammaan u soo duceeyeen Ilaahay subxaanahu wa ta'aala soo sahalo qofkii dilay gacan ku dhiglihii dilkan geesiyo dadka ka dambeeyay kaysku waa bilow wali ma dhamaanin hadduu bilow yahay insha Allah waxaan ku rajaynahay oo Ilaahay subxaanahu wa ta'aala ka rajaynaynaa inuu dhammaan qof kasta oo ku lug lahaa hawshan in cadaaladda la hor keeni doono Sheikh Maxamed oo cadaaladda heli doono insha Allah ta'aala hada ma santii